Hello, it's Crypto CJ. It's the trade of the day, Monday night Zoom edition. And over the weekend, crypto just kind of went sideways and down a little bit. We've been stuck at this 28.5 level for a few days. Let's go to the chart and check it out. Okay, you should be seeing my Bitcoin day chart.
Yeah.
And there was a question before we started about some of the lines I draw. Um, so this structure right here is a range. And I've created my own kind of taskbar with the lines I like to use. So this is a range, and this here is, I forgot what it's called, a line from a point. It's this one right here, horizontal ray. So all the lines that you want to use on TradingView are over here on the left. And if you click this one here, it'll show you a bunch of lines that you can use. And if you click on the star to the right, it'll start creating a favorites taskbar for you, or toolbar, or whatever you want to call it. So as you can see, I've got my trend line, a ray, an info line, extended line. Actually, the trend line I use quite a bit. The horizontal line I use, and the horizontal ray. Those are probably the three. And the vertical line you see me use when we go over the stochastic RSI. So for the sake of display, let's start from the beginning. And let's say I want to do just an underline or something like that. I'll go over here to the line section, click here, got my trend line, click that, and I can draw a line from here to here. And when I do that, this little tool bar pops up, and I can go to the settings and change it. Currently, it's white. I can change the color, to green if I want, or something like that. So yeah, that's how you do that. So I hope that helps. If I went too
Yep.
fast, let me know.
No, that was fine, CJ. What about when you set it, just get it set in the right, you want to draw a line at the right price. Is there a way of moving? I find it difficult to just get it on the exact spot.
Yeah, I'll give you an example. I just drew this line 10 minutes ago, and I wanted it to be at 28.5. So when I drew it, let's say okay, that's where I drew it. And it's like, well, it's not quite what I want. So if I go to the settings button here, go to coordinates, like it's like 28,254. That's not what I want. I want 28,500. Click OK. And now it goes back to that area, to 28,500 perfectly. And that's where I want it.
Right, that's great. Thank you.
All right, glad I could help. Speaking of 28.5, we seem to be stuck there since about, where did I start this? Sunday the 19th. So I didn't think we'd spend that much time in this range. Most of the experts said the mid to high 20s had little to no resistance, so we'd shoot up to 30. But we've been kind of putzing around this 28.5 area for about 10 days, and a little longer than that, closer to 2 weeks. So it looks like it's going to take some extreme effort to get us past that, to break this resistance and establish it as support. The last 3 days have been negative. Over the weekend, we're down a little bit, not much, about 2%. So that's where we are on Bitcoin. On Ethereum, we've got a similar area of resistance right around 1835, and it's going to take some effort to get us above that and get us closer to 2000, which is the top of the end, or top of the support area here since quite a while. Yeah, since August. A few things in the news, Binance is, and we talked about these things more on Friday and last Monday, so I'm not going to go over those again. But again, there's more, regulatory noise from the U.S. SEC and Commodities Exchange and things like that. So, but Bitcoin's been mostly resilient and hanging in there. It hasn't crashed down to 25 or 22 or below 20 or anything like that, like some people were predicting. So I guess that's good news that it stayed in the range that it has. Any questions or comments on Bitcoin, Ethereum, the market overall before we move on to Altcoin Alert, try to find some trades?
Yeah, I had a question.
Okay.
I'm new, but my question was there any patterns, um, typical, I guess, general patterns that occur over the weekend that are different than weekday patterns because of the, I guess, different way people, I guess, view the weekends or use, since crypto is 24/7,
Mm-hmm.
um, I'm kind of curious because it seems like the wave from what I've viewed, it drops every morning and then it will go up or go down. And so I'm not sure if you've noticed any observations yourself
Yeah, on the
in the
weekends,
weekend.
we generally expect lower volume. So more often than not, I'd say maybe 55, 60% of the time we'll have a dip in prices over the weekend.
Okay.
So if you're a more advanced trade, if you're new, you probably shouldn't do this, but if when you get a little more advanced, you
Yeah.
could short the market, through
Right.
derivatives platform, and on my Friday Zoom, we have a Friday afternoon short that we discuss. And
Hmm.
then I also go over indicators that go both long and short. So that's something to potentially use on the weekend when you have a little more experience.
Okay. Yeah, I find that most of my time that I am able to do any sort of analysis is on the weekends. I mean, like, I have essentially like Coinbase, my asset window open, and I'm just tracking it there. And then I have my other windows with CoinGecko and Market
Hmm.
Cap and Masari, Altcoin Alert. But when I watch it over the weekend, I find that it's like it acts different than the weekday. So okay,
Yeah,
the volume you're
the
saying,
volume's
and
lower. Mhm.
um okay, like
All right.
that makes sense. Thanks.
All right. So with that in mind, you can sometimes get in, some good entry positions over the weekend and then have it run up, Sunday night or Monday morning. So that's something to take in mind, take into consideration as well. If you live in the US, if I'm not,
Okay.
busy with something personal on Sunday night, I will trade, the market as if it's a weekday because Sunday night for us in the US is Monday morning for those in Asia and, um, you
Right.
know, weirdo places like New Zealand and it's Craig
E-
on.
especially weirdo. Yeah.
Anyway, nah, just love my Kiwis out there, just messing with you. Okay,
All
so where
right.
were we?
Thanks, CJ.
You're welcome. Anything else on the markets overall before we look for some trades? Okay, so let's go over to Altcoin Alert and let's use some of this information to find some good trade setups. I've got the altcoin radar selected. I want all the information. And I like to use, there's 3 or 4 different sorts or columns I like to use to find potential trades. And just generally speaking, the way I like to do it is I like to use this platform, Altcoin Alert, to find out what's moving. And then I do my own analysis to indicate where to get in. And I'm going to be using, price action and indicators for that purpose. So the first thing I'm going to do is look at the AA score. I was looking at this a little while ago. I'm going to click it again and make sure I've got the most current info. And with an 82.0 as my neighbor Alice, I do trade this one from time to time. And what Altcoin Alert is telling us is there's an 82% chance that this coin will go up 3% or more in the next 48 to 72 hours. So it's worth a look. I've got the chart here. I generally use Binance charts, even though I trade mostly on Bybit and other places, but most of the charts for the exchanges are going to be pretty similar. I'm on the 5-minute chart at the moment, and I don't really see a good entry. I'm looking for a dip sequence, 1, 2, 3 dip. If you're on this call, you've received my email with the iCoinPro 1, 2, 3 dip training. This is sort of an odd version of one here. Usually you have a squeeze and a bubble, and then it goes down into a sequence like this. We have 1, 2, 3, and then it shoots up. So this portion here is a pretty good example of a 1, 2, 3 dip. But what's unusual is that it broke above the top of the Bollinger Bands and the SMA line, and then dropped below both into this sequence. But this portion here is a good looking example of one. Obviously, this was a few hours ago, so it's not in effect now. But this is the kind of sequence we're looking for. See if I can find a better example. I'm not really seeing one at the moment. All right, so if we don't have an ideal entry point here, and I don't think we do because we're sitting near the SMA line, we have a pretty big bubble, but we're in no man's land at the moment on the 5-minute chart. So if you're not comfortable with indicators, another thing you can do is try to identify support and see where a possible retrace would be and get in at that point. I see a clump or a congregation of candles down here around $1.53. Again, over here around $1.54.5. So I think somewhere around here would be a good entry. We'll say $1.54. I'm going to right click on the chart, add an alert here, 154, and then AA score purchase. If I type in AA score, this will come up since I've used that name before for my alerts. I like to use the information source for the alert name. So that's how you do that. That's not my favorite way to do alerts. I prefer 15-minute charts and certain indicators on those charts. So we're going to head over to the 15-minute chart, and we're going to look at 3 different indicator situations. First is the super trend. You've probably heard the phrase, "the trend is your friend." This is an indicator that's easy to use, easy to set alerts on. And most indicators, the best you can hope for, depending on what your exit take profit is over 55 65% if you're lucky. So super trend looks pretty good here. If you're trading spot, you're going to be looking for the buys. And going back to Saturday afternoon, there's a movement nearly 4% here in 12 hours. That's a really good day trade. Obviously, this would have been a little bit better and faster resolution getting in here at this buy signal. This one goes up a little bit and then plummets. That's not so good, but does recover. And if you don't do an additional purchase, you're probably still in that trade. But what I would have done with this scenario is probably around this 5% area I would have bought in again. So I would have had that initial trade and then the secondary one, and probably would have gotten out around here. So my first position would have lost a little bit, but my second position would have had a really big win, and the 2 positions combined would have been profitable. I call that ladder buying. Some others call it dollar cost averaging. I've done videos specifically on that technique, so you might want to go check those out from 2021. So that's how I would have handled that situation. Obviously, this here at You know, we talked about trading on Sunday night. This would have been an alert that went on, or an indicator that went off, and over a 2% move in, 1 hour. That's a good day trade. Most of you folks are experienced enough to be using leverage, 5x, 10x, that kind of thing. If you have a 2% move on 10x, that's 20%. That's a great day trade. And then here's another buy. It went off this morning, 1.3%. So not bad on the super trend. The sells, if you're trading leverage on the short side, did okay as well. That one here did well. That one did well. This one went against you at first, then came down, did pretty well. So not bad on super trend. And then what I've been using a little bit more than that lately is divergence. Divergence is a disagreement between the price action and the indicators. And I like this divergence for many indicators version 4. And divergence can have like a predictive capacity to it. It's what I like about it. It's contrarian trading too. So keep that in mind. As you can see, all these signals were really good on the long side. And that one went against you and then came back. And this most recent one from this afternoon, almost 2%. So those are doing pretty well. If you want to add either super trend or divergence to your charts, and you click up here where the indicators are, you type in super trend. And I use both of these actually. This is the one I use most, this Kivonich one. And for divergence, this is the one I've got, the divergence from any indicators version 4. And I also use this one here, sort of a confirmation, multiple divergences, non-repaint. The version 4 is, actually I forgot to show you an alert on super trend. All right, so go back to super trend. Sorry, I'm skipping around. Right click on here, add an alert, and the buy one comes up first. If you want to short it, you can do the sell, or what I usually do is the direction change. It'll let you know each time it goes from short to, or from sell to buy. Once per bar close, that'll keep it on all day until you turn it off. And yeah, AA score is probably what I would call this one. Okay, so that's how you set a super trend alert. You also might want to use some of these other indicators on the super trend for confirmation. Stochastic RSI, and this is the impulse MACD. So for example, on this buy alert that went off, this is stochastic RSI crossed, but the MACD went just sideways, so it didn't really confirm it. And so that was kind of a small move. Over here, this buy signal, it was confirmed by the stochastic RSI, the blue line crossing the orange. And then the MACD crosses over a little too late, actually, on this green candle here and drops. So use these if you want. Some people swear by them, some people not so much. Back to divergence. And if you want to set an alert on divergence, right click. The negative is selected first, so you go to the positive one, once per bar close, and call it what you want, AA score. And then if you want to do both directions that day, you'll have to create a separate one for negative divergence. Okay. So that's those two. And then the other one I like to use, though I haven't used it as much lately, is stochastic RSI. When the blue line dips below the 20 value, that's the oversold area, and it comes back, shows signs of a recovery, and that could be a good sign of an entry. It can be when this happens on the 15-minute chart, sometimes you can go over to frequently you can go over to the 5-minute chart, and you'll be towards the end of a 5-minute dip sequence. So I'm going to bring up my horizontal or vertical line and show you where that happens. All right, so at this point, the blue line crosses below the 20 value, which is the oversold, and crosses back up, showing signs of recovery. So the alert would have gone out off right about here. As you can see, you get this nice move, 1.4%, then a little dip, and then a really big move. So that would have been a really nice entry there. Happens again, right about here. Little dip, then that same big move. Here is really a perfect entry. Happens again here. Catch that move. And I think this one would have dipped as well. Get a smaller move, then this dip, then a move up. So that one's not as good. And next one looks like it's about here. That would have been pretty nice, getting in right about here and then getting that move up there. Another one. Yeah, you probably go sideways on that one mostly. But you get the idea. When it dips below 20 comes back up, more often than not, you can get a pretty good entry that way. And to set an alert on that, right click on the stochastic RSI, add the alert. You're gonna be crossing up. The K line is the blue line. And your value is gonna be 20. Once per bar close. And AA score, or whatever you want to call it. And you're good to go. So that's 3 different ways you can use indicators to get, better entry points than just, throwing it out the wall and see if it sticks. Any questions on those?
Yeah, I had a question, CJ.
Okay.
So you're using lots of indicators, and you also had mentioned switching between the time frames. Is there I guess the same effect, or is there an indicator when you that works better in the 5-minute zone versus 10-minute versus 15 versus 20, or are you changing indicators based off of that time, um they work the same, I guess?
Yeah, a couple years ago, I discovered that this dip that I showed you with the RSI, if that came down and broke below 20, if I went over to the 5-minute chart, that was usually around the first or second dip in a dip sequence on the 5-minute chart. So I hope that makes sense. So 15 minutes,
Yeah,
obviously longer. So I wanted to get, what I don't want to do is sit on my computer all day waiting for a dip
right.
sequence. So when I noticed that trend, I thought, how else can I use this? And that sort of evolved over the years to what I just showed you.
Okay.
If
Okay.
you want to catch the trend, if you're not that interested in dip trading, you just want the trend, then the super trend can work. And there are all kinds of trend
Right.
indicators. I just kind of like that one. I should also point out that,
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
yeah,
I was more along the lines of if there's a specific indicator that works best for 5 minutes versus, let's say, a different time frame where you wouldn't want to use that indicator.
yeah, you could use super trend on the 5-minute chart if you want. I've dabbled with that
Okay.
with less than ideal results.
Yeah,
So
I got you now. Yeah, like
yeah,
like you wouldn't want to like use that out of context, per se.
yeah.
So okay, thanks.
All right.
CJ, can I just ask you, with these indicators, um, I I find it difficult to get them all on the screen. Can you just show us how you could move them around and resize them?
Move them around and resize them. So are you talking about, okay, like this is my super trend. Actually, a better example might be my divergence because I've made changes to this. Um, I think I took out a couple of the options on that. I changed some of the colors. Yeah, I think think it's in the style section, right?
Yeah, colors and styles are all right. I'm fine with that, but it's say for instance, I put on the MACD impulse MACD, you know, and it comes on down the bottom and it takes up a lot of the screen, you know, and then there's no room for the others, you know. And if you want to put one down underneath another, rather than have it, you
You
know
can
what
move them
I mean?
around with this button here, move pane up. If you want to move it up, you can do that. If you want to move it down, you can do that.
All right, okay,
You can also hover until you see this. That'll make it smaller or bigger.
yeah,
Is that the kind of thing you're looking for?
yeah. That's what I mean.
Okay.
Just move the pane and change the size. Yeah,
Yeah,
thank you.
you're welcome. Any other questions on Alice or chart setups? Okay. I'm probably overdue for a video updating my chart setups. I did one a couple years ago. I think I did one in January 22, which is the last, general video I did about how I set, or what I talk about in my Zoom calls. I might need to update that and show you guys how to show some of the new folks how to do that on charts. But if you go to that video, it should show at least what I did then on how to add indicators to your chart and how to move them around if you need to.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Any other questions before we move on to another? God, we've got half an hour already. I've only done a one coin on Altcoin Alert. I'm way behind, so that's okay. We'll do one other sort on Altcoin Alert, and I've been using the social activity sort lately. My friend John likes this one, and I click on that, and I'm looking for fire on both the social activity, which is the Twitter data, and the trading activity, which is more technical oriented. If I see fire or a thumbs up on both, then that's something worthy of additional investigation. In this situation, I'm mostly ignoring the AA score and just looking at these two, matching them up. So swipe comes up. I think it's called solar now, actually, but a big move today, and this one's been pumping the last few days. So I had that one up, but I don't. All right, on the 5-minute chart, again, I don't really see a good entry. We're towards the top of the Bollinger Band above the SMA line. Bollinger bands are 8% apart. That's really good. That's a lot of room to move. We like that. As far as a price alert, probably right about here, down around 83 cents or so, between 82 and a quarter and almost 84. So this range over here would be a potentially good entry. You'll put your price alert, like I talked about on the last one, and reevaluate once that alert goes off. Okay, indicators on the 15-minute chart. Since I'm running behind, I'm going to speed up a little bit. On supertrend, yeah, since it's trending up pretty hard, there haven't been that many triggers of the alert. Both the buys obviously did really well. The sells not so much. So if you're using the super trend, you might want to stay on the buy side until you get a pretty hard move down to negate that trend up. On divergence, all the bullish divergences have done well. This one here is the worst one from Friday. It went down about 7% and shot up here. So that would have been a really good day trade, less than a day, double digits. So and on the short side, even the bearish ones did pretty well. This one, dropped 6%. And this one dropped about 1.5, eventually 3%. So either direction on the divergence would have been good on SXP. I'd be more aggressive on the long side and conservative on the short side on this one. And I could go through the RSI, but I think what you're going to see is that, since it's pumped up so hard, every entry is going to be good on the long side. So just eyeballing it here, I can tell, this dip here and cross back up would have caught that big move. This one would have caught this kind of medium-sized move and then the big move later. Then all these others would have caught this big move here. So good stuff there. All right, I went through that pretty quick. Any questions on SXP? Okay, we will do one more on Altcoin Alert before we head to iCoinPro. So that was a social activity sort. I've also looked at this 1 hour projected range. I don't see anything good here. I want to see this average be probably 4% or higher. And the highest one I have is 2.3. Another one I like a lot is sorting by long-term sentiment. It's similar to the social activity we were doing. If you hover over here on this question mark, it'll tell you what long-term sentiment is, but it's a basic comparison of the Twitter data from 24 hours to 20 days. Elder impulse, it's a technical indicator combination. So when I have very bullish or bullish combined with on the sentiment side, combined with bullish on the Elder impulse daily, I like that. So that's something I'm going to look at with some further scrutiny. I'm not familiar with NIM. Next example we have is Monero, which I trade all the time. XMR, bullish on both. Let's check it out. Okay. Here's a dip sequence here that worked out pretty well. Got the squeeze and it bubbles out. 1, 2, 3, boom, get in here. To the SMA line, 1%. So 1% doesn't sound like much, but you pile these up, a couple of them a day, 5 to 10 of them a week, your balance will grow pretty quickly. But we don't have that set up at the moment. There is some short-term support here, right around $156 on XMR. That might be a pretty good place for a price alert. On our indicators, super trend on the 15-minute chart. Looks okay. This one did well. Yeah, probably would have taken nearly a day to get 1.4%. Not great, but not bad. The sell did really well over here. These sells, you probably would have been in them for a while if you're going short on those. Here's a 1% move. This one here would have gone with you for a little bit and then pumped up against you. Yeah, but eventually came back and get a 1% move. Not bad. So that's super trend, divergence. Bullish divergence. This one obviously did really well. These moves aren't that great. I think some of the other ones we looked at might be better candidates to focus your attention on than this one. Yeah. The shorts. Not bad. Actually, this has had better. The short triggers were better than the long ones on this one. And then on stochastic, this would have caught this big move, as with this one. This one here would have been kind of a wild ride. You get the idea. Okay, any questions on Monero XMR? Okay, any questions on Altcoin Alert before we head over to iCoinPro? All right. iCoinPro, home of the 1, 2, 3 dip. Since we're here, let's check out let me reload this, get this updated. Fear and greed index. Ooh, we're at greed. I don't know. So we've gone sideways mostly the last few days. I don't see how that's greedy, but I guess it's better than falling. So the two tools that of iCoinPro that I like to use the most are the RSI Spy and the Buddy Coin Crawler. Look for longs first on the RSI Spy. You see me go for on the stochastic RSI, looking for the blue line goes below the 20 value and comes back up. This on the 15-minute chart, well, this will point it out on the 1-hour chart. And pretty much all the coins that are in Binance, and if it's in Binance, it's a pretty good chance it's in Bybit and BitGet and some of the other exchanges we like to trade, and even Coinbase and KuCoin. And you can, if you're in iCoinPro, you can choose Coinbase Pro if you want. But I like to use the Binance charts probably just because I started with them, and even though I don't trade on it anymore, it's just what I'm used to doing. Okay, at the moment we've only got one that's below the 30 value, which is what we use on the RSI, and then that's a Bitcoin pair, and I don't really trade those. So this H bar is at 34. That could be worth checking out. Yeah, it's probably the only one we have that's close to 30. So got a drop down menu here. Click on Trading View. It'll take me to a 5-minute chart of my most recent layout on the H bar chart. Okay. And we just missed a dip sequence here. We had to squeeze the bubble. 1, 2, 3, and then here's where you get in. And 1.7%. It's a pretty good day trade. But we're at the SMA line now, in the middle of a bubble, so that's not a good place to get in. Do a price alert down here at about 43 cents. On our 15-minute chart for the indicators, on supertrend, buys haven't done that well. Went up a little bit here, a little over 1%, then dropped. The sell alerts did a lot better than the buys. 2% here, not bad. So if you're trading spot, that's not that encouraging. Let's see what divergence has for us. Quite a few triggers, but they didn't do that much. This one here, 1.7%. Not bad. Then a bigger move here at over 2%. So those would have been okay. This one, not so much. Drop down here, probably do another additional purchase at around a 5% loss, then get out up here, get close to breaking even on my first position, get a nice trade or nice profit on my second one. They would average out to profit. This is a similar setup here. If you're just going for 1 or 2%, you would have gotten out in profit before the dip, and you'd probably still be in that trade. Okay, so that's divergence. And then on the stochastic, okay, we have a dip below 20 and then a cross back up. Yeah, 2% move like that. This one here, small move and then a drop. And yeah, that's the trend on those until we get about here. That's a pretty good entry. Yeah, over 3%. We like that. All right, so that's the RSI. Any questions on H bar, or where we look at something else? Oh, this took me to ID. What the heck is ID? Okay, well, what I showed you on that ID chart, I didn't notice it wasn't a hash bar or a H bar chart. So that's a little embarrassing, but the analysis still applies. And since we're running a little low on time, I'm not going to go over that one again. So we'll look at one more on iCoinPro before we call it a day. Go over here to my buddy Coin Crawler. This is sort of iCoinPro slang. What they do and what I do myself is I usually look at 3, 4, 5, 6 coins maybe that I'm going to watch all day and put alerts on them, and those are my buddy coins for the day. So I'm going to look at, and so it's going to help. This tool is going to help me identify potential options for that. And I usually choose a couple from iCoinPro and a couple from Altcoin Alert. I'm looking for values, usually 4% or higher. In this column here, the average low to the SMA. The low is a 24-hour low, and then the SMA lines that red line you see between my Bollinger Bands. So 4% or higher usually indicates there's some room to move. We've looked at SXP already. Mask is something I trade from time to time. So let's look at that one. Drop down menu, trading view. And this should give us a 5-minute chart on mask. All right, make sure I've got the right coin this time. Okay. Yeah, we had that kind of weird thing that we saw one of those other earlier charts where it goes into a pump and then a dip sequence. That's kind of unusual. Okay, we're sitting at the SMA line at the moment. Not a good place to get in. Seeing some support here around 554. That also matches some support over here. So that looks like a pretty good potential entry. Put your price alert there. The 15-minute chart, super trend. Not looking that good. This buy would have caught this move, as would have this one. This one's not bad. Yeah, 3% there. Yeah, not bad. 1.7 there. This one here would have been a bummer. Yeah, confirmation too on the other indicators. The RSI crosses over, the MACD is looking good. Buy signal goes off, and then small profit there, but yeah, you're probably 2 ladder buys into this one. So if you buy at a 5% drop and again at a 10% drop, it does come back to your original start. So this is a great ladder buy scenario where your first position breaks even, and then you get 5% on your first ladder buy and 10% on the second. So even though it goes against you to begin with, overall it ends up being a really great trade. There's some controversy around this practice. Most traders use stop losses. What I've been doing lately is ladder buying on the long side and using stop losses on the short side. Since the market is generally trending up, that's how I've been doing it lately. But it's up to you as a trader to decide how you want to handle your risk. Okay, so that's super trend on divergence. Bullish did pretty well, mostly because of this move here. This was a good one too. This is from this afternoon. Yeah, 3.4. We like that. So yeah, these all look pretty good. I'm running out of time, so I'm going to pass up on the stochastic for the moment. Any questions on this mask setup or iCoinPro or Altcoin Alert in general? All right, well, I will wrap it up here. If you're watching on the recording, thanks for doing that. Please check out the opportunities listed in the pinned comment. They help fund the channel. If you're into carbon, stick around. We'll start that Zoom in a few minutes. Have a good one.